Okay, so today we will only be doing Form 5 Chapter 1. So Form 5 Chapter 1 is actually it's one of the short chapter. It's first chapter that you learn about plants. A lot of students, when they think about plants, they will think it's very boring, it's very hard to understand. But actually, I want to say plants, as to compare to human, plants are easier because plants question, the question is not so hard, the answers are not so hard, but for human part, they are slightly harder because human, we have a lot of disease. That's why plants, as to compare to human, plants are boring to you, but they are easier to score as to compare. Okay, we will only do one chapter today. If we cannot finish the chapter for chapter 1, maybe I will have another recording part for the last subtopic for chapter 1 lah. Okay. Meanwhile, for those who don't know who am I, my name is Wai Ling. It's the one that you see on the cover page. The one on the cover page is my face. Hopefully you get the one, my notes. Okay, the cover page is my face. My name is Wai Ling. So obviously you are in my class. I'll be teaching you chapter 1 today. Okay, let's start the class now. In chapter 1, we have to learn about organization of plant tissue. So we have two different tissue here. We have meristematic tissue and also permanent tissue. We have to understand the word. What does meristem means? Meristem, it means young plant cell. We can write it down, yeah. Meristem means young plant cell. It can only be used in plant. It's called young plant cell. As a young plant cell, they have to grow. Every plant cell, every human, when we are young, we have to grow. So young plant cell, okay. The other word that we have to learn is called permanent tissue. What does permanent tissue means? Permanent means matured tissue. Permanent means matured tissue, okay? Permanent, it means matured tissue. So we have young plant cell, we have mature tissue. We will start from young plant cell, which is the meristematic tissue. We will start with meristematic tissue example. We have two different examples here. We have apical meristem and lateral meristem. What does apical means? Apical, it means the tip. Apical, it means the tip. It's called apical, okay? It means the tip. Lateral means what? It means the side. Lateral, it means the side. So we have a tip, we have a side, okay? So we have tip and side. As we have mentioned, all young cells, they have to make sure that they grow. How do you grow? They have to carry out a process called mitosis. Mitosis means what? It means 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8 cells. They will increase in number of cells. All of the cells produced, they are genetically identical. What does genetically identical mean? It means they are exactly the same. It's called genetically identical. When you clap your hand, your cell died on your hand, right? So the cell that produced on your hand, they are also genetically identical because it's mitosis. So mitosis produces the same exact cell is to increase the number of cells. Okay, they want to increase the number of cells. So maybe when you are younger as a human, you're only 100 cm. As mitosis occurs, from 100 cm, you grow up to 150 cm. Increase in number of cells, right? All of the cells in your body has to be the same. For root and stem is the same as well. We have root apical and shoot apical. By learning root apical and shoot apical, we have to look at the direction of it. For root apical, we have to look from the bottom to top in this direction, yeah? From bottom to top. Shoot tip is top to bottom. In this direction, guys, bottom to top and top to bottom, okay, in this direction. We start from root tip. Why would I say we have to look in this direction? Because number 1 zone is called zone of cell division. Number 2 is called elongation. Number 3 is differentiation. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, now how do I know from which direction? Because I say tip, right? Tip means what? This is tip. So you have to find the tip and then you have to look upwards. You find the tip, you look downwards. So you find the tip itself. In zone of cell division is to increase in number of cells. So 1 to 2, 2 to 4 is to increase the number of cells. It becomes longer lah. And then elongation. Elongation means what? They increase in size and mass of cell. You can also understand long. It becomes bigger. Long. It becomes bigger. Differentiation, they must have a specific tissue, a specific cell. All cells that undergo differentiation, they must have a specific tissue. No matter whether it's in chapter 1 or Form 4 chapter, they must have a specific function. We call this as root tip, zone of cell differentiation. Shoot tip is the same thing as well. In root tip, there are more things for you to learn. At the tip of the root, we have a thing called root cap. What is a root cap? Root cap is to protect root tip from mechanical injury. This part is the root tip, right? What does mechanical injury mean? It means it has to be from external force. Example, bacterial infection, external. For example, maybe we have earthquake. For example, maybe the soil is too hard. It's called mechanical injury. Mechanical injury has to be external force. External force. It means that the plant cannot do it by themselves. Okay? External force from the outside. We call this as mechanical injuries. These root cap, they are not permanent because when they are growing, they become longer, right? Let's say the soil is too hard. When they penetrate into the soil, sometimes it breaks. To prevent them from breaking, they have a thing called root cap. Root cap will then degenerate as they undergo zone of cell division. So root cap, they will degenerate and replaced by the apical meristem. So they will degenerate and replaced by apical meristem. So they will be replaced by apical meristem later on. So this is the function of root cap, is to protect root tip from mechanical injury. Next, we have root hair. Every root, we have a lot of root hair. Root hair is not just one. We have a lot of root hair. So root have a lot of all these things is called root hair. The function of root hair, because we have more, is to increase surface area. Root hair is to increase surface area. Okay, increase surface area. What do they do with increased surface area? What is the function of root hair, guys? Is to absorb what? Root hair is to absorb minerals, correct? And to absorb water. Very good. So it's to absorb water and mineral. Okay, is to absorb water and mineral. So when you have more surface area increases, so more water and more mineral can be absorbed. We call this as root hair. Okay. Next, we also have xylem and phloem. Okay, xylem and phloem is inside. If you notice that xylem and phloem, it can only be found in zone of cell differentiation. Same goes to the root hair because, as we have mentioned, differentiation means what? They will have a specific function. Xylem has a specific function. Phloem has a specific function. Root hair has also a specific function. So only at zone of cell differentiation, they will have xylem, phloem, and root hair. Okay, for shoot tip, it's the same thing as well. They have the same function, nothing special here, but we have a thing called leaf primordial. What is primordium? Primordium is a young leaf. Before they form into a leaf, the starting point is called primordium. So from primordium, they will form into allegedly a leaf. It's called primordium, means they are young. They haven't grown into a leaf yet. It's called primordium. How do we recognize which one is the root and shoot? Very easy, guys. For root, no, have you all plucked any grass before or plucked any plants from the ground before? Have you all plucked anything from the ground before? Okay, now, if you notice that the root is actually like that, right? Most of the root looks the same, which is like that. Okay, this is how it looks, like a straight thing. Okay, look like that. Okay, it's root tip. For shoot tip, we can imagine this as a cockroach. Looks like a cockroach, right? So the one that looks like a cockroach is a shoot tip. The ones that looks like a root, it has to be a root tip. Okay, this is how we recognize whether they are root tip or shoot tip. Okay, everybody okay with this part? Anybody has question to ask? Okay, no question. Let me ask you a question. Okay, now we have 3 zones. Can you guys tell me what is the 3 zone in sequence? First, we have zone of in sequence. And number 1 is called zone of cell division. Very good, zone of cell division. Number 2 is called zone of cell elongation. Correct. Number 3 is called zone of cell differentiation. Very good, zone of cell differentiation. For shoot tip, we have to look from top to bottom or bottom to top. Shoot tip. Shoot is which direction? Correct. Shoot is from the top to the bottom. Root is the other way around, from the bottom to the top. For root, we have root cap. What is the function of root cap? Is to protect root tip from very good mechanical injuries. Okay, next we also have root hair. What is the function of root hair? Root hair is to increase, very good, increase surface area. They are able to absorb more water and mineral. Okay, this is about the apical meristem. Next, we talk about lateral meristem. Lateral means what? Lateral, it means for them to grow sideways. For secondary growth. Secondary growth only for woody plant. Non-woody plant don't carry out secondary growth, okay? For woody plant, they carry out secondary growth because they want to increase in diameter. We have 2 cambium, vascular cambium and cord cambium. When you see the word vascular, vascular has to relate to xylem and phloem. Anything related to xylem and phloem, it has to be vascular. Cord cambium, C-O-R-K, it has to be a protective tissue. Usually, cambium, the word cambium, we have to form a certain thing. So vascular cambium forms xylem and phloem. Cord cambium, they form into a protective tissue. So we have vascular and cord cambium. Talking about xylem and phloem, okay. Anybody remember what is the function of xylem? Xylem transport what? Xylem transport Very good. Water and mineral. They transport water and minerals, okay, from the roots to all parts of plant. Phloem transport what? Very good. We transport organic substances, okay, or you can say photosynthetic product, but we cannot write transport food, cannot write transport sucrose. Yeah, organic substances is the word that we have to use. Transport organic substances. Okay, we don't write glucose, we don't write food, because organic substances including what? Includes of food, includes of your glucose, sucrose, hormones, enzymes. That's why we use organic substances. So the function difference is water, mineral, and organic substances. The other one, the other difference that we can write, xylem is actually a dead cell. Why is it called a dead cell for xylem? Because xylem has no cytoplasm. They don't even have a living space. That's why they are dead cell. Phloem is a living cell. Why? Because there is a cytoplasm. Okay, you all learn this in chapter 4, right? In chapter 1, we also learn, but we only learn dead cell animal. We only learn dead cell, living cell. Because dead cell, they have no cytoplasm. Phloem is a living cell because they have a cytoplasm. So xylem, phloem. Okay, so this is a characteristic. So later we will learn about the cord cambium. So this is lateral meristem, increase in diameter for secondary growth. In this page, what I want you to know the sequence here, recognize the diagram. Second, I want you to know lateral meristem involved of two cambium. That's all I have to know from this page. Anybody has question in page 2? Okay. Anybody has question to ask? No? Okay, no. We're going to move to the next part. If you have question, please ask me. Okay with this speed? Do I have to be slower? Okay, okay. If you think I'm too fast, I can slow down a little bit. Okay. So for permanent tissue, it's called mature tissue. Mature tissue is permanent tissue. What would happen if secondary xylem and phloem is not formed? Then they will not carry out secondary growth. They will not have woody tissue. Later we will do this question actually when there is no secondary xylem and phloem. There's no secondary growth, they cannot increase in diameter, so the plant cannot have support. Okay, mature tissue is because that they undergo a process called cell division. Cell differentiation. They undergo a process called cell differentiation. When they have cell differentiation, it means that they will have a specific function. They will have a specific function. So for every permanent tissue, they carry out differentiation, they will have a specific function. So this permanent tissue, right, actually we have 3 types. I will show you in question later, but the first example that we have is called epidermal tissue. First, we have epidermal tissue. Epidermal means the outermost layer. We call this as epidermal. Epidermal, what do we have? Epidermal, we have cuticle. Okay, cuticle. We have root hair and also gut cell. These are the outermost layer. It's called epidermal. Epidermal is a tissue. Dermis is a cell, but they are the same thing. One is cell, one is tissue lah. Okay, second, we have vascular tissue. Vascular referring to what? Just now we say vascular has to refer to xylem and phloem. Very good. Okay, xylem, phloem, xylem, phloem. Okay, the last one of your tissue, it will be ground tissue. Ground tissue has 3 chyma. The 3 chyma will be parenchyma tissue, collenchyma tissue, and sclerenchyma tissue. Okay, later I will tell you how do we differentiate these 3 ground tissue. Okay, parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. In Form 4 chapter 7, which is last week in my normal class, we learned about a thing called aerenchyma tissue, right? Aerenchyma referring to air spaces is for the plant to float on the surface of water. So for all chyma is to provide support, but it's a different type of support for different type of plants. Parenchyma and collenchyma, they are a living cell. Sclerenchyma is a dead cell. So usually for sclerenchyma tissue, they will provide support to a dead cell, which is a mature tissue, a dead cell. So they will just provide support to different type of cell. It's called ground tissue. So we have 3 different tissue over here. Later we will do it in question for this part. Okay, in permanent tissue, we have 2 type of plants. We have Dicot and also monocot. So what does UD means? UD come from the word die. So some book, they will write dicot. Dicot. So dicot and Dicot, they are the same thing actually. It's depending on which one that you see in the question. So Dicot means 2, Monocot means one. 2 condyledon. What is a condyledon? Condyledon is a storage of food. It's called condyledon. So we have 2 seed and 1 seed. 2 seed and 1 seed. Unicondyledon, we have leaf, stem, and root. Same goes to monocot. What I want you to know from this is, I want you to recognize the diagram. For Dicot especially, this Dicot, for leaf, it looks like a watch. The watch, okay, it looks like a watch, like the watch that you are wearing, right? Okay, usually watch are round. Okay, next stem, they have a ring pattern inside, and then for root, we have to recognize the diagram, which one is leaf, stem, and root. For leaf and stem, the outer layer, the outermost layer, we learn the word called epidermal, right? But epidermal is a tissue. As a cell, it is known as epidermis. This epidermis has cuticle. Cuticle is the waxy layer. They are cuticle and they are waterproof. Is to reduce water loss. Okay, they are waterproof is to reduce water loss through evaporation or transpiration. Is to protect the plant from mechanical injury, which is bacterial infection, insect infection. It's called mechanical injuries. The characteristic can only be used in leaf and stem, not for root. Why? Because if root has cuticle, do you think root can absorb water? When the root has cuticle, do you think the root can absorb water? Cannot be, right? So the root, they are not covered by cuticle. So the characteristic here can only be leaf and stem. Okay, only for 2 leaf and stem, okay, 2 characteristics. Okay, for leaf, the xylem is located on top part. Phloem is at the bottom. In the middle, we have a thing called cambium. What is a cambium? We have learned cambium is to form xylem and phloem because it is a vascular bundle, right? Vascular has to be related to xylem and phloem. So vascular bundle is in the leaf. Same goes to the stem. They also have vascular bundle. Xylem is inside, phloem is outside. How do you want to remember xylem is inside? In chapter 4, in form 3, we all learn a thing called a ringing experiment. What is a ringing experiment? It's the question that they give you. They say that they will cut the outer layer of the stem. They ask you what happens after 3 months. And then the result, or maybe 1 month later, okay, the top part, it will be swollen. The bottom part shrinks, right? Then we have to remember why the top part is swollen. Why is the top part swollen? Because the top part, they have accumulation of organic substances. The phloem is removed. That's why the outer one, the one in orange color here, is the phloem. The inside part is the xylem. So the plant will not wilt. Wilt means what? Means there is no water. So the plant will not wilt because there is water inside. There is still xylem inside. But the plant will die because there is no organic substances. So there's a difference between xylem and phloem in the sequence of it. Inside is xylem, outside is phloem. The white color part is called pith. The green color part is called cortex. What is the function of pith and cortex? Is to store food. Pith and cortex are used to store food, okay? Storage of food, pith and cortex, okay? So they will form into a ring pattern, arranged in a ring around the pith in a ring pattern. For root is the special one. Why? Because root, the xylem has a pattern. I know this is a cross, a T shape, but we don't call cross. We call this as a star-shaped xylem. Star-shaped xylem. The xylem is a star shape. Okay, this is a star shape, not a cross. It's a star-shaped xylem. The one in purple color that you see in this part is the phloem. So star-shaped xylem, the phloem fills in the area between xylem. The outer layer is a root hair. Okay, the outer layer is a root hair. We learned that more root hair means what? It means they are more surface area, right? Absorb more water. Very good. And if you notice that the root is no longer called vascular bundle, it is known as vascular cylinder. It's not saying that they have no cambium because they have a thing called pericycle. What is a pericycle? Pericycle is used to form lateral root. You know, we have a main root. You know, when you see a plant, you have a main root. At the side of the root, we have lateral root. And the lateral root is formed from the pericycle. You know, the root. Okay, we have the root at the side, right? Usually, okay, the root at the side is formed from the pericycle. So when you write the name, you have to always remember root is called vascular cylinder. Leaf and stem is called vascular bundle. Even though you don't learn it in chapter 1, but you learn this in chapter 3. In chapter 3, we all learn about root characteristic, right? So root is called vascular cylinder. Okay, vascular cylinder. And this is vascular bundle. If you don't remember, what can you write? You can write vascular tissue. they are the same thing because vascular referring to what? Xylem, phloem, right? So you can write vascular bundle, you can write vascular cylinder as a vascular tissue. But if you want to write specific one, remember to write the correct name, okay? So this is stem root. Leaf for monocot, this part here is in the textbook. This is not in the textbook, but it doesn't mean that you don't have to know about monocot. Sometimes in question, they ask you to write differences. They ask you to write the differences between monocot and eudicoat. So actually textbook, it's just for you to learn most of the question that you will see in your exam. But there are some questions that you see in your exam, it's not in the textbook information. Maybe they give you a corner. So the corner is where you have to figure it by yourself, where that question to you is a K-BAT question because you never see the question before. So now that you learn this, okay, monocot, so you have no excuse to say that you never learned this before lah. So for leaf, it's the same thing. The arrangement is different, but it's the same. Means what? Xylem is on top, same as this one. Xylem is on top, upper part. Phloem is at the bottom. How do you want to remember the location for xylem and phloem? In eudicoat, only remember the xylem. How do we remember this? We can remember xylem on top part. Xylem is on the top part. And then this one, xylem is inside. Xylem is inside for stem. And then for root, xylem is a star shape. So top, inside, star. Remember the location for xylem, you will know the location for phloem. Remember, leaf, stem, root, normal sequence of the plant. Top, inside, star shape. Same goes to monocot. Leaf, xylem is on top, phloem is at the bottom. For stem, just now they form into a ring pattern, right? Right now, got no ring. It's called scattered around. Scattered means what? All over. All over is called scattered around. All over also means that they also have a sequence of xylem and phloem. The xylem is still inside, the one in red color. Phloem is still outside. Can you see the red one is xylem, the blue one is still phloem? So the location of xylem and phloem is the same. For root, is different. They have alternate. What does alternate means? It means xylem, phloem, xylem, phloem. It's called alternate. They take turns to arrange. It's called alternate. They will form into a ring pattern. As you see here, they will form into a ring pattern. Alternate to form into a ring pattern. Xylem, phloem, xylem, phloem, xylem, phloem, they form into a ring pattern. So this is the difference between monocot and eudicoat. In exam, sometimes they will ask you to write the differences. But eudicoat are the things that you have to understand the most because they always ask about eudicoat. Okay? Anybody has question to ask in this page? What is the difference between monocot and eudicoat? Generally, not in this. Okay, general means eudicoat, we have two condylium, means two storage in the seed. It's like two seed lah. Monocot means one seed. It's two seed and one seed. It's called monocot and eudicoat. Mono means one, eudi means two. Okay, so one seed and two seed. Okay, now done with this, I'm going to ask you a question, okay? So for eudicoat, we have leaf, stem, and root. What is the structure of leaf looks like in eudicoat? It looks like what? It looks like a watch, correct? Okay, can you guys tell me where is the location for xylem in the leaf? Top, correct. In the stem? In the stem, where is the xylem? Inside, correct. In the root? Star shape, correct. Very good. Star shape, okay. Top, inside, star shape. In the leaf and the stem, the outermost layer, it is known as what? The outermost layer is called epidermis. Very good, epidermis. Can you tell me what is the characteristic of epidermis? Waxy layer, cuticle, correct. What is the function of cuticle? What is the waterproof? Okay, number one, reduce excess water loss, correct. Number two, correct, protect the plant from mechanical injuries. Does the root has a cuticle? No, because they have to absorb water and minerals, so the root don't have cuticle, okay? Now, done with this, we're going to move to the next page. Okay, the next page is the sequence of the zone that we learned just now again. Okay, now go through one more time. 3 zones in sequence. However, correct, we have a root cap. Okay, now, right now, just now we learned about 3 zones. Can you guys tell me the 3 zones in sequence again? The first zone is called zone of cell division. Very good. The first one is called zone of cell division. Second one is called zone of cell elongation. Very good. Elongation. Third zone is called zone of cell differentiation. Correct. Differentiation. Okay. We have division, elongation, differentiation. In a sequence, this is in a sequence, guys. In a sequence, 1, 2, 3. Okay, they are in a sequence. Okay, now first we start with zone of cell division. Division means what? 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16. The purpose of zone of cell division is to increase in number. Makes sense, right? Increase in number. Elongation, long, becomes bigger. Increase in size and mass of the cell. They become bigger. Differentiation, all of the cell that carry out differentiation, they must have specific function. Differentiation, they must have a specific function. So I actually highlighted all of the function for you to know in the 3 zone. In zone of cell division, because they want to increase in number of cells, they have to carry out one important process called mitosis. Because only mitosis can produce genetically identical cell. It only happens in where? In the apical meristem. Apical means what again? Apical means tip. Very good. What does meristem means? Meristem means young, correct? Young plant cell. Okay, it only happens in the young plant cell. So in order to carry out this process, the cell have to arrange closely. Okay, if you look at the diagram here, they arrange closely. Okay, they arrange closely. There are 4 characteristics of this cell. First, they have large nuclei. Nuclei is nucleus. They have a very big nucleus. Second, they have small vacuole. Vacuole is very small, as you can see inside. The vacuole is very small. Number 3, dense cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is dense, means that higher viscosity. So they are not so watery like dense cytoplasm. Next, we have thin cell wall. Cell wall is thin. So in order to carry out this process, nuclei and nucleus is singular, plural. They are the same thing. In biology, they don't really care about whether you write singular or plural because it's not important. Just write nuclei, nucleus is up to you. Okay. Now, to carry out this process, these are the characteristics of it. Okay, large nuclei, dense cytoplasm, thin cell wall, and also small vacuole. So when they are growing, they will push the cell to elongation zone because you are growing 1 to 2 to 4, right? So eventually they will push to the next zone, which is zone of elongation. In elongation, it becomes even bigger. So this elongation zone, the nutrients go into the vacuole. In the vacuole, it's not just about water. We have a lot of nutrients inside. So the nutrients go inside the vacuole. The water goes into the vacuole as well by osmosis. The word osmosis can only be used in water. It's called osmosis. Small vacuole, can you see the small vacuole? They will fuse together to form into a larger vacuole. Okay, they will form into a larger vacuole, bigger vacuole. The process is known as vacuolation. Vacuolation. Okay, the process is called vacuolation. Because they become bigger, they will exert pressure. They will push to the cell wall. Imagine that the person is very big. Of course, the person push to the next person is higher chances, right? So they will push and widen the cell. How do you want to remember the characteristic of this one? Remember 4 keywords. First, remember nutrients. Second, remember osmosis. Third, remember vacuolation. Fourth, remember pressure. So forwards. Usually this part is 4 marks. It can be 3 to 4 marks. So if it's 3 marks, you choose any 3. If it's 4 marks, you have to write all. If it's 2, you can choose any 2. Nutrients, osmosis, vacuolation, pressure. An exam, please write in sentence. It's just for you to remember what are the keywords that you have to write. Okay, forwards are nutrients, osmosis, vacuolation, pressure. Okay, the last one is called differentiation. Just now I keep on emphasizing, right? When the cell carry out differentiation, it means that the cell has what? When the cell carry out differentiation, means that the cell has what? All of them will have a specific function. Very good. They will have a specific function. All of the cell will have a specific function. They form into a permanent tissue with a specific function. This zone of cell differentiation, it changes shape and structure for them to form into a specialized cell with a specific function. We have example. It's not just 3, guys. You can just write palisade mesophil cell, spongy mesophil cell, root hair cell, guard cell. You can write xylem phloem. If you have to write example, I would suggest you to write xylem phloem because xylem phloem is the easiest one for you to explain your answer. I'm not saying that the rest are harder, but xylem phloem is the easiest one. So if you have to write example, choose xylem and phloem to write. This part here, usually it can be 4 to 6 marks. Means it can be structure, it can be essay question, either one. It can be structure, it can be essay question. Structure caption can only be 2, 2, 2. So it's also 6 marks actually. Anyhow, it's still 6 marks. In normal essay question, they ask you to explain this, you also get 6 to 8 marks. Why the rate of growth is slow in differentiation? Because they already form into a permanent tissue. They already form into permanent tissue. So that's why they cannot increase the number of cells anymore. To increase the number of cells, it has to happen in zone of cell division. Okay, now we're going to go through one more time, but your turn to tell me. You can type a few words now, so don't type the entire sentence. Okay, so one more time, okay, maybe you can listen one more time so that you can understand better. So we have 3 different zones. The first zone is called zone of cell division, correct? Zone of cell division. Second one is called zone of cell elongation. Third is called zone of cell differentiation. Very good. In zone of cell division, they have to carry out a process. What is the process called in zone of cell division? Mitosis. Very good. Who carry out mitosis? Apical meristem. Okay, in order to carry out mitosis, the cell has a few characteristics. Number one, they have to arrange closely, right? They arrange closely first, and then with 4 characteristics in the cell. First, they have large nucleus, correct? Second, besides large nuclei, thin cell wall, okay, correct? Dense cytoplasm and small vacuole, okay? These are the 4 characteristics in order for them to carry out the process. Okay, of course, mitosis needs a lot of mitochondria, but the cell characteristic is thin cell wall, large nuclei, dense cytoplasm, small vacuole, and then they will slowly go to the zone of cell elongation. In elongation, we have 4 keywords. What are the 4 keywords? The first keyword is nutrients. Very good. The nutrients dissolve into the vacuole and store in the vacuole. Second keyword is osmosis. Very good. Water diffuses into the vacuole by osmosis. Third keyword is vacuolation, correct? Vacuolation means what? Small vacuole fuse to form into larger vacuole. Fourth keyword is pressure, correct? They will exert pressure onto the cell wall for them to become bigger in size. In zone of cell differentiation, all of the cell changes in what? Shape and one more. Shape and what? Structure, correct? They changes in shape and structure. They will become a permanent tissue with specific function. Very good. So these are the things that you have to know in zone, yeah, the 3 zone. Okay, anybody has question to ask in this page? No, we're going to try some question right now so that we can apply the knowledge that you have learned in the question, okay? I want you to flip to your question, your first question, okay? Flip to your first question. You have question, you can ask me, guys. You can ask me anytime, okay? So let's look at the first question that you see in your question set. It's very easy to know it's a question page because question is black and white. Notes are colored, printed. Diagram 1 shows a cross-section of a Dicot root. Name the structure. Will the cell burst if the vacuole is too big? If there is a cell wall, the cell will not burst. Without a cell wall, yes, the cell will burst. Okay, they ask you to name the structure PQR. Okay, in order for you to label easier, the structure here referring to permanent tissue. Then you can label it better. If it's not very hard for you to label. So PQR, okay, 3, PQR. So we have to label as a permanent tissue. Now, first, we label the part that we know first. P is the outer layer. We learned 3 tissue just now, right? Remember, we learned about epidermal tissue, vascular tissue, and ground tissue. The outermost layer, if it's a tissue, we have to write epidermal tissue. For this question, actually, you can write epidermis. What is the difference between epidermis and epidermal tissue? Epidermis is a cell. Epidermal is a tissue. So they are the same thing, actually. And then for Q and R, if you don't know what is Q and R, we will look at R first. Can you see R? We have X and Y, and the X has a star shape. What is X to you? If there is a star shape, X is a xylem, correct? X is a xylem. What about Y? Y is a phloem. So xylem, phloem together. R is known as, all right, R is known as vascular tissue. This is not vascular bundle because vascular bundle can only be used in stem and leaf. This is a root, so it's a vascular cylinder. Okay, vascular cylinder. Okay, next we have Q. Q, we have the last tissue. Of course, this is the ground tissue. For your cortex, pith, they are known as a ground tissue. Cortex and pith is a ground tissue lah. Structure R consists of two types of tissue, namely X and Y. So we have named it already, it's xylem and phloem, so don't have to write it again, it's in the question just now. State the function of X and Y. They ask you to write the function of xylem and phloem. Xylem transport, correct. Xylem transport water and mineral, correct. Xylem X. Yeah. X transport water and minerals from roots to all parts of plant. Okay, from the roots to all parts of plant, because root can only absorb water and mineral, right? And then for Y, transport, what are the words that we learned just now? Correct, it is known as organic substances. Very good. Transport organic substances from the leaf to all parts of plant. From the leaves to all parts of plant. Can you write photosynthetic product? Yes, you can. Okay, state one difference between tissue X and tissue Y. Just now we learned another characteristic of xylem and phloem. Xylem is a what cell? Xylem is a dead cell, correct? And then phloem is a living cell. So X is a dead cell, whereas Y is a living cell. So whenever you write difference, you have to remember that you're gonna write who is what, whereas who is what. In one sentence, X does not have cytoplasm, while Y has a cytoplasm also can. So dead cell, living cell. Okay. Usually dead cell, living cell is the common one that we write lah. The outermost layer of stem leaves are covered by a waxy and waterproof coating. What is the substance called? It is known as cuticle. Very good. Very easy question, this one. Cuticle. Give a reason why plants need the substance stated in 1C1. Cuticle is to prevent water loss, or you can say protect the plant from mechanical injury. Okay, both also correct. Up to you guys. You're gonna write whichever one. You're gonna write water loss also can. You're gonna write protect plant also can. So you're gonna say protect plant from mechanical injury, or you can write prevent excess water loss. Excess water loss. Okay, next, explain one difference between epidermis of stem and root. Epidermis of stem and root. Which one? Okay, stem and root has only one difference. The one difference is what? Which is the cuticle, right? Root don't have a cuticle. Why? Because if root have a cuticle, the root cannot absorb water. So the only difference is the cuticle. So you're going to say stem. It's covered by cuticle, whereas root is not covered by cuticle. For Q, the first one, can you write cortex instead of ground tissue? Yes. If it's a cell, then you can write cortex, yeah? If it's a tissue, you can write ground tissue. And these enable root to absorb water and minerals from soil. The soil. Then let me know. Is the root hair of the root become a difference for them? Yes, because the root hair are grow out from the epidermis. So if you want to write the root hair, you can say the increased surface area for water absorption also can. Because the root undergo a differentiation process to form into root hair. Okay, draw a simple label diagram to show the main tissue of a cross section of a leaf. Simple label diagram. Remember, they ask you to draw what? Label diagram, okay? Leaf. To draw a leaf, we have to draw like a watch, like whatever you guys say just now, to draw like a watch, right? So we're going to say, we're going to draw 2 layers because we have an epidermis, yeah? When you draw, I would suggest you to use a pencil to draw. Then use a pen, use a pencil to draw, and then you're going to draw this outer layer over here. Okay, and then we're gonna draw like a Pokeball inside. You know, you all watch Pokemon. So some students say it looks like a Pokeball. I don't know if you guys know what is Pokemon. This thing called Pokeball, okay? Like an egg, or maybe it looks like an egg. And then we have to label the diagram. The outer layer of a leaf is known as, the outer layer of a leaf is called outermost layer. The cell is called what? Epidermis, correct? It is known as epidermis. The top part is, in the vascular bundle, the top part is xylem. The bottom part is phloem. All right. If you want to label the line, in between we have this line, right? The line is known as cambium. Cambium. All right, cambium. Actually, for this question, you only have to label xylem phloem because they ask you to label the main tissue. The main tissue will be xylem phloem. Okay. E, in an experiment, cross sections are obtained from the root, stem, and leaf of a dicotyledonous plant which has been immersed in red oxine solution for 2 hours. Indicates the tissue stained red by the oxine solution in 5.2. If you don't know what is this oxine solution, doesn't matter. You know what is the solution, right? Solution means water, liquid. It's called solution. Solution has to be transported by xylem or phloem. This is a solution. Is it a xylem or phloem? Solution has to be xylem, correct? Because they are solution. So we have to label which part is the xylem. Just now we asked you to remember the sequence of it, right? The leaf, where is the xylem? The leaf xylem is on the top part, correct? The top part is the xylem. Stem, where is the xylem? Xylem is inside, correct? You can just color everything here, okay? Inside. And then for the roots, what is the pattern of the roots? Xylem. It's called a star-shaped xylem, correct? Star-shaped xylem. Okay, so these are the part that we have labeled. Easy 3 marks, guys. They give you 3 marks for doing this. Easy 3 marks. State the differences between arrangement of vascular bundle in the stem and vascular tissue in the root of dicotyledonous plant and monocotyledonous plant. They ask you to talk about what? Arrangement of vascular bundle and vascular tissue in the stem and in the root. Okay, in the stem and in the root. In this diagram here, it shows a Dicot, which is a dicot. For stem in dicot, they actually forms into a ring pattern, right? Form into a ring pattern. This one forms into a star shape, and then they have a phloem fused in the area between xylem. For monocot, do they have a ring pattern in the stem? In monocot, no, scattered around. Very good, means all over is called scattered around. What about the root? Root has a pattern or not? For monocot, they have a ring pattern. Ring means what? Because they have an alternate pattern. Alternate xylem phloem, they form into a ring shape. Okay. So to write in sentence, okay, actually it's only 2 marks. One sentence each is actually enough already because it's a comparison. So when you're unique and mono correct, you get 1 mark lah. In one sentence, we're gonna say a vascular bundle arranged in a ring around the pith. Next, for monocot, you can say vascular tissues. A bundle also okay lah, is stem. Vascular bundle scattered throughout the stem. Scattered throughout the stem. For root, you're going to say xylem has a star shape form, whereas phloem fills in area between xylem. For monocot, we can write xylem tissue alternate with phloem tissue in the form of a ring. What is the difference between vascular bundle and vascular tissue? Okay, now vascular tissue is everything. Okay, means in vascular tissue we have vascular bundle and vascular cylinder. Vascular bundle can only be used in stem and leaf. Vascular cylinder can only be used in the root. So generally, they are all known as vascular tissue. Generally, in the general name, it's called vascular tissue. So the bundle and cylinder is used in different part of the plant. Why Q is a ground tissue? Because Q, you mean just now the question, right? Q is a cortex. Cortex and pith has to be a ground tissue. Cortex and pith is a ground tissue. Vascular cylinder involving of your pericycle. So xylem, phloem, and pericycle. It's called vascular cylinder. In pericycle can only be found in the root. Leaf and stem don't have pericycle. What is pith for? Pith is to store food. Pith and cortex both are used to store food. It's a storage of food. It's called pith, P-I-T-H. Cortex is the same, is to store food as well. It's a storage of food. It's an area where they store food. Like in ground tissue, what do we have? We have parenchyma tissue. Parenchyma tissue can store food because parenchyma tissue has large vacuole, thin cell wall. It can store food. Okay, done with this? Done, you let me know. We wait for 10 of you, okay? Let me know when you're done with this page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now next question. The diagram below shows the location of a tissue of a plant. Label the type of tissue for A, B, C, and E in the box provided. So when we are doing labeling, you try to label things that you know first. Then you label things that you don't know. So it's easier for you to label in this case. Okay, we're going to start with A. A, they are pointing at where? The tip and the tip of shoot and the tip of root. Can you see they are pointing at this part? This is A. So what do you call A as? The tip of shoot, the tip of root. Correct. It is known as apical meristem. You can write meristematic tissue. You can write meristem. Both also can. You can write meristematic tissue, apical meristem also can, yeah? Meristematic tissue. Why is the plant in the experiment previously monocot has a dicot root? Don't have. The one that you see just now is a dicot. It's not a monocot. The one you see just now is a dicot. The question always give you dicot. They don't give you monocot one, guys. Like for example, this question, this is also a dicot because you can see there's a star shape. The one just now is also a dicot. Okay, next, we will label C. Like C is easier to label. The outermost layer, okay? What do you call the outermost layer? As a tissue. That's how we learn what? Epidermal vascular ground tissue, right? So the outermost layer is called epidermal tissue, correct? C is known as epidermal tissue. Epidermal tissue. And then D, can you see that they label xylem and phloem? So what is D? D is a xylem, phloem. Together, what tissue is that? It's called vascular tissue, correct? Vascular tissue. And then for E, as you can see, they are pointing at the cortex, they are pointing at the pith. So if it's a cortex and pith, what tissue is this? Correct, it's the ground tissue. Very good, ground tissue. And then we left B, right? If you don't know what is B, B is pointing at this part, this entire thing. So this entire thing here, including what? Including the leaf, including the stem, including the root, they are known as a permanent tissue, right? Because if you look back to the notes, that page, the entire page is called permanent tissue. They already have a specific function. Xylem phloem has a specific function already, right? So B is known as permanent tissue. It's the opposite for meristematic tissue. It's called permanent tissue. Permanent tissue. Permanent tissue. Can you write mature tissue? Mature tissue is not a type of tissue. If you want to write a type of tissue, we have to write permanent tissue because it's a type of tissue, right? Mature is where we use to explain the permanent tissue. Lateral meristem is a tissue, but lateral meristem is only at the site. But the diagram here is the apical meristem. Lateral meristem is under the same category as meristematic tissue. Why is E a ground tissue again? Because it's pith and cortex. When you see pith is the one inside, is called pith, yeah? Cortex is the outer layer, cortex. When you see pith and cortex, they are ground tissue. The diagram below shows a position of permanent tissue in the cross-sectional diagram of a plant cell. What is meant by permanent tissue? Permanent means what? Permanent tissue, as you guys mentioned, is a mature tissue. How do we define it as a mature tissue? They have to carry out a process called, cortex is the ground tissue, because they carry out a process called what? Differentiation. Very good. Every cell that undergo differentiation will have a specific function. Very good. So we have to say it is a matured tissue that undergone cell differentiation to carry out specific function. To carry out specific function. Name tissue label P and Q. Okay, the P is actually labeling at this part, the outer layer here. If it's a tissue, we have to write epidermal tissue. If it's a cell, we label as epidermis. So P is epidermal tissue. For Q, can you see they are pointing at the cortex? So for what tissue is that? The tissue is a ground tissue, correct? Because cortex is a cell. Tissue is a ground tissue, yeah? So Q is a ground tissue. Ground tissue. State two characteristic of P. They ask you to write characteristic of epidermal. What is the characteristic of epidermal? All epidermis, they are covered by cuticle. Okay, waxy layer called cuticle. Very good. And they are waterproof. So the characteristic is what? Cuticle, waxy layer, and waterproof. Two characteristics. It has cuticle, which is the waxy layer, which depending on which one that you want to write. And then it has waterproof layer. Or it is waterproof also can. You want to write? Transparent for stem is not a good answer to write because for leaf, you can write they are transparent for cuticle. Because leaf carry out photosynthesis, but for stem, no. Stem transparent don't help in anything. This is a statement, right? The next question they ask you to write, why do you think they have this characteristic? As you all write just now, the function of cuticle and the waterproof is to prevent injuries, correct? To protect the plant from mechanical injury. Second, what is your answer? What is the second answer? Besides protecting the plant, correct? Minimize water loss, prevent excessive water loss. We're going to say prevent excess water loss. The other one, you're going to say protect plant from mechanical injury. Protect the plant from mechanical injury. What is the function of root cap? Root cap is to protect Protect who? Protect which part? Is to protect root tip. Very good. Is to protect the root tip from mechanical injury. Very good. Is to protect root tip from mechanical injury. Okay, protect root tip from mechanical injury. State an example of cell modified found in tissue P. Tissue P is what again? Epidermal tissue. Epidermal tissue, we have 3 examples we learned, right? Number 1, we have root hair cell, correct? What else besides root hair cell? We have cuticle, and we have one more called gut cell. Just now I write it in the notes, right? 3 epidermal, root hair cell, cuticle, and the gut cell. But for this question, we cannot write root hair. Why? Because this is a stem. If this is a stem, there is no root hair. Even though the question says that, but there is no root hair over here. So what we do here, we're going to write gut cell. Since we write cuticle in the question already, so we can write gut cell. Gut cell is under epidermal as well. Name the structure in tissue Q that consists of living cell. In ground tissue, we have parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. I mentioned just now there is one cell is a dead cell, which is sclerenchyma, right? So you can only write parenchyma and collenchyma. Very good. Parenchyma tissue and collenchyma tissue. Because sclerenchyma is a dead cell. I write it at the bottom, yeah? Sclerenchyma is a dead cell. That's why if it's a living cell, we can only write parenchyma and collenchyma. Later, I show you in diagram what is the difference between parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma in diagram later. Done? Anybody has question in this page? Question this page? Now we will look at the next question. Okay, the next question. Diagram below shows 2 examples of the tissue in plant P and Q. Okay, they ask you to write what is the tissue P. Tissue P, they bracket the entire thing. When you bracket the entire thing here, this tissue is known as what tissue? The entire thing, okay? What is the entire thing? Very good, vascular tissue. So P is known as a vascular tissue, which is xylem and phloem. And then for tissue Q, in the diagram here, you can see that there is thin cell wall. The cell wall is actually very thin. I don't know if you noticed, but the cell wall is very thin. And they have a large vacuole, and the entire thing that you can see is a vacuole. Thin cell wall, large vacuole can only refer to parenchyma because every different chyma, they have different diagram. This is a parenchyma. I will show you what is the difference between the 3 different chyma later. So this one, you can write parenchyma tissue. You can write ground tissue. Okay, you can write ground tissue. You can write parenchyma tissue. They have thin cell wall, large vacuole. Okay, parenchyma characteristic, thin cell wall, large vacuole. Okay, thin cell wall, large vacuole. State 2 differences between tissue P and tissue Q. You can say what do they consist of? Because vascular tissue consists of what? Xylem, phloem. The ground tissue here consists of what? Parenchyma tissue. You can say that one, xylem is a dead cell, phloem is a living cell. Parenchyma is the simplest living cell. Is parenchyma a part of the ground tissue? Ground tissue has 3 examples. Parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. So ground tissue is the title. Parenchyma is the subtitle of the ground tissue. So ground tissue has 3 chyma. Parenchyma is one of the ground tissue. Okay. Okay, now over here, we're going to say P is vascular tissue that consists of xylem and phloem, whereas Q, ground tissue, has parenchyma tissue. And then you can say in P, xylem is a dead cell, phloem is a living cell, but in Q, parenchyma tissue is a simplest living cell. Why is it called simplest living cell? Because simplest living cell means that they don't carry out differentiation. That's why it's called simplest living cell. Simplest living cell. Only parenchyma are known as simplest living cell because they have no differentiation process. Yet they have the most function in all of the chyma. Done? Let me know, guys. When do we state xylem is a dead cell again? When they ask you to write characteristic, then you can say xylem is a dead cell. Or maybe when you work for differences, characteristic also can write. Okay, what is the process that forms tissue P? Tissue P is a tissue. From a cell that forms in the tissue, they are mature tissue, right? If it's a mature tissue means that they carry out what process? All mature tissue carry out cell differentiation, correct? Cell differentiation. In the notes, which part stated that the xylem is a dead cell? Actually, in Form 5, Chapter 4. You learn xylem in Form 5, Chapter 4, right? Will parenchyma undergo differentiation to form colon and scleron? No. There are three different things. They don't form into each other. Okay, relate the characteristic of tissue Q with the function. Q is Q is a ground tissue. Okay, they ask you to write the characteristic of parenchyma tissue with the function itself. We have learned that parenchyma has thin cell wall, large vacuole. You can say that the large vacuole, the vacuole is very big, right? Is to store food. They want to store what? They want to store organic substances, which is glucose, water, cell sap. For example, we have hormones, mineral inside. So you can write any example. You can also say that they can carry out photosynthesis. They can carry out gases exchange. We have the largest vacuole to maintain the shape of the cell. Maintain turbo pressure also can. We have a lot of answer to write. If you want to write the easiest one, you can say they have large vacuole that store products of photosynthesis. Or you can say large vacuole to maintain turgidity of cell. Or large vacuole to maintain turgidity to support herbaceous plant, to provide support to herbaceous plant, which is non-woody plant. Non-woody plant uses parenchyma as a support. Non-woody plant means what? They don't carry out secondary growth. They don't carry out secondary growth. So that's why they only have to use water as a support mechanism. The thin cell wall is to provide support as well. Can you store organic substances instead of this? Yes, you can. You can say large vacuole that stores organic substances. Okay, explain the characteristic of xylem tissue. Explain characteristic. Your statement has to match with your characteristic. Okay, now I know you know xylem is a dead cell. But when you write xylem is a dead cell, you have no explanation. Because xylem is a dead cell, then you have no function for a dead cell, you know. So you write something that you know. For example, what is the function of xylem? Transport water and mineral, right? We have two functions of xylem, transport water and mineral. The other one is to provide support. In chapter 4, we learned xylem can provide support as well. So if you want to write transport water and mineral, you can say that they are elongated, means long, and hollow tube. They arrange end to end because they have a longitudinal section. So because they are very long, you can say elongated and hollow tube, transport water and mineral. The other function is to provide support. How do they provide support? Is by having a cell called lignified wall. Lignified wall is to provide support for most of the dead cells. It's called lignified wall. I will write two, just in case maybe in chapter 4 you will see this question. So you're going to say xylem vessel have elongated and hollow tube. Hollow means empty. Your explanation is this is to transport water, and minerals. Next, you can say xylem wall is taken by lignin. This is to provide mechanical strength and support to plant. When you see the word lignin, it has to be dead cell. So it's not just xylem has lignin. Who else has lignin? Your sclerenchyma has also lignin. So lignin are usually used in dead cell. It's called lignin, or you can say lignified wall. Both also correct, yeah? Can you say prevent the xylem from being bent? Yes. For lignin, yes, you can. You can say this is to prevent the xylem from being bent, also the plant from being bent. If you don't want to write provide mechanical strength and support, you can write to prevent the plant from being bent. Done? Then let me know. We will move to the next question when you are done already. Okay, then next question. Next, we will learn about diagram below shows the zone. What tissue supports woody plant? The one that supports woody plant is also lignified. What is the xylem? Because xylem they will compress the xylem and then they form into a woody plant. Okay, diagram below shows the zone of cell growth at the tip of a shoot. If it's a shoot, we have to look from which direction? Top to bottom or bottom to top? Which direction? A shoot means you look down or look up. Look down or look up. Correct. We look top to bottom. Very good. Top to bottom. Why? We have to find the tip. Tip has to be the starting point, guys. Tip has to be a starting point. In exam, if you don't know, just find the tip first. Your tip, can you see this is the tip and this one is never ending area? The tip has to be the starting point. So P has to be the first zone. The first zone is called zone of cell. Cell what? Division, correct? Zone of cell division. Second zone is called zone of cell elongation, correct? Third zone is called zone of cell differentiation, correct? Differentiation. So 3 zones. The question is very nice to you because they even give you the name. You only have to fill in the blanks, actually. But yeah, this is the answer lah. State one difference between zone of cell elongation and zone of cell differentiation. Zone of cell elongation is to increase in what? Elongation is to increase in, correct, the size and mass of the cell. Elongation is size and mass. Division is number of cell. Elongation is size and mass of the cell. Differentiation. Differentiation, what do? They will differentiate into what? Into a mature tissue, permanent tissue with specific function, correct? So in exam, please write in sentence, don't write in table, yeah? So you're going to say increase in size and mass of cell. This one differentiate into permanent tissue with specific function. With specific function. Then let me know, guys. Wait for 9 of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9. Okay. We're going to skip one question. We're going to look at the next question. Okay. We're going to skip question 4. We will look at question 5. Okay. In question 5, they ask you, diagram below shows 3 zone PQR in the root tip. Okay, guys, this is a root tip. If you don't know, it's okay. Just like I say, right, you find the tip, right? You find the tip, okay? You look up or downwards. Which direction? Up or downwards? Correct. Upwards. Very good. You look upwards, right, in this direction. Upwards, okay? So R will be the first zone. The first zone is called zone of cell division. Very good. Zone of cell division. Second is called zone of cell elongation. Third is called zone of cell differentiation. Very good. This is the 3 zone. Easy question. Briefly explain the process at zone Q. Elongation, we have 4 keywords. What are the 4 keywords for you to write again? The first keyword that you're going to write is what? Nutrients. Very good. Okay, so the nutrients diffuses into the vacuole and store in the vacuole. Second keyword is what? Osmosis. Water diffuses into the vacuole by osmosis. Third keyword is what? Vacuolation. Correct. Vacuolation means what? Small vacuole fills to form into larger vacuole by vacuolation. Fourth keyword is what? Pressure. Very good. They will exert pressure against the cell wall to increase the size and mass of the cell. So I know the question is only 3 marks. You can choose any 3 to write. But I will write 4 sentences because it's our first time writing, right? We will write 4 sentences here. So first, we're going to say, nutrients are absorbed into cell and stored in vacuole. Next, water diffuses into vacuole by osmosis. Third sentence, small vacuole fuse together to form into large vacuole by vacuolation. Last one, diffuse water exert pressure against cell wall, which pushes and widens the cell. May I ask if SPM can write in point form? Point form in short sentence, yes, you can. But you cannot write keywords. You can write this. This is a correct way of answer in exam. But you cannot write keywords. Means you cannot write nutrients, osmosis, vacuolation, pressure. But you have to be in a short sentence. AC can also be like that. This one also can be AC. This is a correct way of writing in exam, guys. Diffuse water. Thank you, past tense. Diffuse water, okay? Table can only be used when they ask you to write differences in ACA question. This one, there's no need for you to draw table. In ACA, for differences, you can draw table. In A and B, you can write the table. But in structural question, I will still suggest you to write in sentence. This is correct. Don't have to write those bombastic English word one, guys. This biology, not English, man. Don't have to write what... we don't even have to write linkers. Don't have to write therefore, besides that. No, all this no need to write one. Just straight to the point. As long as your answer is a short sentence. Okay? Not keywords. Keywords is wrong. Okay? Sentence is correct. Point form is correct as long as they are short sentence. Okay? Briefly explain the process at zone R. Let me highlight the word first, just in case you don't know what I'm trying to say just now. These are the 4 keywords, okay? Next, explain the process at R, zone of cell division. Cell division means that they carry out what process? Zone of cell division, they carry out mitosis process, correct? Who carry out mitosis process? Who carry out? Correct, apical meristem carry out mitosis process. So the cell has to arrange closely. Arrange closely, what are the characteristics of the cell? We have 4 characteristics. Can you tell me what are the 4 characteristics? Large nuclei, very good. Thin cell wall. Next, we have large nuclei, thin cell wall. Dense cytoplasm. The last one is small vacuole, very good. So eventually they will grow and then they will go into the zone of elongation. Okay, so to write in 3 sentences, first we're gonna say in zone R, cells are divided by osmosis, are divided by mitosis. The cell arrange closely and consists of thin cell wall, large nuclei, dense cytoplasm, and small vacuole. The increase of number of cell causes elongation of plant stem. Or you can say they are being pushed to the zone of cell elongation. If you want to write this, you can say cell are pushed to zone of cell elongation. Done? Let me know, guys. Wait for 5 more of you. 1, 2, 3. Even in ACA, can write like this, correct? Yes, you can write like this in ACA, correct, guys? Okay, done. Okay, we're gonna skip. I'm gonna teach you how to differentiate the 3 chima tissue as I've mentioned. From the diagram, how do we identify whether they are colon-chima, sclerenchyma, or even parenchyma tissue? Okay, we're gonna skip this because it's the same question, guys. I believe you know how to look at this already. We're gonna look at page 18, okay, which is question 6. Page 18, question 6. Have you guys done with this already? If I mention that zone R is a zone of cell division and then start explaining, can if you want to, because we already write the zone of cell division in the question. So don't have to write also, never mind. Because if you write it over here, you don't get marks by writing zone R is zone of cell division. Because it's in the first question already. Unless you never write in first question lah. Means that the question never asked, then you can get marks from there. The diagram below shows a type of round tissue on the stem of a mangrove tree. Identify tissue X, Y, Z. Tissue X, Y, Z. Okay, we will only label this question here. I only want to teach you how to identify this tree diagram. Okay, first, we look at Z first. Z, they have the thinnest cell wall, largest vacuole, and the most irregular in size. Compared to the rest, they are irregular in size. They have the largest space, right? This space here is the vacuole. If they have a thin cell wall, large vacuole, the Z has to be a parenchyma tissue. Okay, parenchyma tissue. Okay. Next, between between X and Y, how do I differentiate? Y, there is a thing called lignified wall. We have mentioned that whenever you see the word lignified means what? They have to be a dead cell. So between these 3 chima tissue, who is a dead cell? Correct, sclerenchyma. So Y is a sclerenchyma tissue, sclerenchyma. And then for X, how do I know what is X? If I don't know what is X and Y, the question never say this is a lignified wall. How do I know what is X? This one, the taken corner, the taken corner has to be a colon-chyma. The pink color, red color, the red color part, right, is the taken corner, right? Only colon-chyma has a taken corner. So X is a colon-chyma tissue. They have the taken corner. In exam, without this, you have to see whether they have taken corner or not. If they have, X has to be colon-chyma. What is the characteristic between this X, Y, Z? I will write the certain characteristic, I mean some characteristic over here. So they have taken corner, number one. Taken corner. Next, the cell wall is made of pectin and hemicellulose. And then we have sclerenchyma tissue. Sclerenchyma is a dead cell. So they are dead cell. They have the thicker cell wall. Thicker cell wall. The cell wall is the thickest. It looks like a beehive in black and white, right? It looks like a beehive. And then for parenchyma tissue, they are known as simplest living cell. Why is it called simplest living cell? As I've mentioned that they don't carry out differentiation. No differentiation. They don't carry out differentiation, and then they can involve in photosynthesis. They also involve in gases exchange and also storage of food because they have thin cell wall, large vacuole. So if you want to compare the size of the cell wall, this is thin. Okay, thin cell wall. Large vacuole. So this is the thinnest cell wall for parenchyma. Second is collenchyma. Thickest is sclerenchyma. So there's a sequence of the thickness. Parent is the thin, colon is the second one, sclerenchyma is the thickest one. Okay, so this is the three chyma. So you have to learn how to identify the three chyma tissue in the diagram. Okay, the question you can do it by yourself lah, because not very hard question. Now I'm going to teach you another subtopic right now, which is the secondary group. Then you have to recognize now, sometimes in question, the diagram is different. So what you have to recognize is whether they have largest vacuole or not, whether they have taken corner or not, whether they have lignified wall or not. So no matter what question, this is how you find the three chyma tissue. They can be all different diagram, right, in exam. Anybody has question for this three chyma? The question you can do it by yourself. Now we have to go to the next subtopic. Everybody okay with this? Can I do E, please? E, we can wait. E, are you trying to say this E? This E, you mean? Okay, never mind. Since somebody asked me, then we do E lah, okay? Besides the stem, some ground tissue can also be found in the mangrove fruits. What is the reason that the flesh of mango is soft and sweet in taste? Means over here, you still have to refer back to the ground tissue. Ground tissue, we have three: parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Which one do you think is the most suitable answer to be written in this question? Of course, it's parenchyma. Why parenchyma? Because parenchyma has what? Thin cell wall and what? And large vacuole. So the vacuole, they can store food. That's why it can be sweet. In the vacuole, they store cell sap. Cell sap contains of what? Mineral ions. It contains of sugar, which is glucose, sucrose, amino acid. They contains of enzymes, hormones. Everything is like, that's why parenchyma tissue is the one. Soft is also under the parenchyma tissue because they have thin cell wall, right? So you're gonna say, yeah, change pencils. Parenchyma tissue in mango fruit act as storage organ which can provide soft texture and sweet in taste because the tissue can store food and water in vacuole produce from photosynthesis. So the answer is parenchyma tissue. The answer will be posted in the website. Don't worry, not in your GC, in the website. In the how you join the class is how you get your answer there also. Okay, done with this? Okay, now we're going to go back to our notes. We will learn about you are eating their storage. It's not just the storage. You are also eating the ovary of a plant. If you remember, you learned it in chapter 6. Your fruits is made of plant ovary. Right, you remember that, right? So yeah, you're not just eating the storage, you're eating the ovary as well. Okay, let's go back to the notes. We will learn about secondary growth. Okay, this is actually a very important subtopic that you have to learn because in exam, they ask you to write AC for secondary growth. Structure also can be secondary growth. ACA can also be secondary growth, yeah? So we have primary and secondary growth. All plants in the world carry out primary growth. All plants, literally the grass also carry out primary growth. Because primary growth occurs after germination, means they form into a seedling, they start to carry out primary growth. After primary growth, we have secondary growth. So all plants in the world, they will increase in length. They become taller. So increase in length, increase in height, increase in length. Okay. Next, secondary growth. The increase in diameter. Secondary growth is only for woody plant because they want to increase in diameter, right? Primary growth occurs in the apical meristem. It's the tip of the shoot and root. It becomes longer. Secondary growth occurs in the lateral meristem. Lateral means it's at the side. It's called lateral meristem. It's at the side. So it's lateral meristem. Now, in primary growth, the growth is limited. Secondary growth is unlimited. Okay, I will not suggest you to write this in exam, but I only want you to understand it. Why? Because for all plants, every plant can grow tall. They have a maximum height, right? No plant can reach the sky. Right? Which plant can reach the sky? No plant can reach the sky. But for diameter, it's unlimited. Every year, they have annual ring, right? So they will increase in diameter. It's like human. We can only reach up to a certain height, but our body weight got no maximum. Height is our maximum, but body weight is not a maximum, right? Same like human. Your primary growth is not just about this. We can also write other characteristics in your primary growth. You can write that primary growth, they will not form any woody tissue. No woody tissue. Okay, no woody tissue because they don't carry out secondary growth. Secondary growth has a woody tissue. That's why secondary growth can make it into timber, furniture. For primary growth, they have thin bark. Bark is the area where we use it also to form into your table and furniture. This one has a thicker bark. Okay, and then for annual ring, annual plant block. Primary growth got no annual ring. Secondary growth has annual ring. We will learn about annual ring later. So if you want to write the differences, I will suggest you to write the one I highlighted just now, these 2 points. Maybe I should use this different color, these 2 and these 3 for differences question. Okay, next. How does a plant carry out secondary growth? Because all plants can carry out primary growth, right? Secondary growth, we have a process. Secondary growth is to increase in diameter. Involved in what? Lateral meristem. Do you guys remember lateral meristem? We have 2 cambium. What are the 2 cambium again? What are the 2 cambium in secondary growth? Lateral meristem, correct? We have vascular cambium. Very good. The other one is called what? Cord cambium. Vascular and cord cambium. Okay. I want you to remember them in sequence. Vascular come first, and then we have cord cambium. Okay, why? Vascular referring to xylem and phloem, right? Okay, let me draw a simple diagram so you can understand better. So first, I draw a vascular cambium. Okay, this is a cambium ring. The blue one is the cambium ring. Okay, cambium ring. Okay, next, cambium ring is to form xylem and phloem. The one that is inside, is this xylem or phloem? The one that is inside, is it xylem or phloem? Inside the ring is xylem, correct? Right now, we have to write primary xylem. So the one in red color is your primary xylem. Next, I will use green color. Outside. If inside is xylem, then outside has to be a phloem. Now we have to write what? Primary phloem. Not just phloem, we have to write the word primary. Primary phloem. Okay, next. Because right now I want to carry out secondary growth. So I will have a secondary xylem and secondary phloem. Everything formed from the ring, the blue color one. Everything formed from the blue color one. If I want to form xylem, it's still inside. Over here, you cannot see this color. This one, okay? Over here, this one is still my xylem. We call this as secondary xylem. The one that is inside is still xylem. And then outside, I use purple color. Can see or not? Maybe I use a lighter one. Okay, the one in purple color here, this is secondary phloem. Okay, secondary phloem. So you need to have primary first. Only you can form secondary. It's like school. You have to go to primary school and then you can only go to secondary school, right? So primary needs to form first. Everything starts from the ring, the ring itself, okay? The ring itself. So the one in red color is your primary xylem, right? So they will keep on growing inwards. The inner part of this part, the stem, is called pith. Remember we learned a word called P-I-T-H just now? Pith, okay? The primary xylem, it grows towards the pith. The one in green color is called primary phloem. It grows outside. Outside is where? Outside is epidermis. So one push inside towards the pith, one goes outside towards the epidermis. Okay, so this is the drawing. Now we have to apply this into the sentence already. Okay, it says what? Vascular cambium divided by mitosis, same thing, because they have to form into cambium ring. So inside is your secondary xylem. Secondary xylem is what? The one in yellow color, right? And then outside is secondary phloem. The one in purple color is secondary phloem. Primary xylem, the one in red color, push towards the pith. Primary phloem, the one in green color, push towards the epidermis, which is the one we mentioned just now. Okay, we're gonna go one more time, guys, but your turn to tell me, I remove this, okay? Your turn to tell me how do we form this thing. Okay, first, we start from a ring. Okay, a ring. What do you call this ring as? Correct, it's called cambium ring. Cambium ring, okay? Inside, what do they form? Inside, they form into, correct, we have primary xylem first. Primary xylem. Next, what is the one on the outside? Outside is, all right, primary. Guys, we have to write the word primary. Primary phloem. Then, inside part, they have to form more, right? It's called secondary xylem, correct? And then we have the last part. The one that forms outside is known as secondary phloem. Very good, secondary phloem. So primary xylem grow inwards. Inside is towards where? Inside is towards the pith, correct? The one in green color, primary phloem. It grows outside. Outside towards where? The epidermis. So I didn't draw the epidermis, but this is how it's supposed to look like, guys. This is the diagram. If you draw the outer layer, it looks like this. I just said I didn't draw, okay? This one nicer. My one drawing is just for you to understand the arrangement of it. Okay, when they are growing, the xylem tissue will compress by lignin. Okay, as you guys mentioned just now. How woody plant get support? Woody plant get support is by having compression of your xylem tissue. So more compressed together, they form into a woody tissue already. Then they provide mechanical strength and support to the plant. But when the cell is increasing in diameter, it causes the epidermis, okay, the epidermis to stretch and crack. They will start to stretch and crack. It's like human. If you are a person who is L-size person, okay, you wear L-size shirt, can you fit into S-size shirt? Like forcefully fit into it. Your shirt will also break into half, right? Same goes to this. If a human suddenly gain in weight, if you are 50 kg now, and you gain another 50 kg in next month, example only lah, guys, example lah, okay, you gain 50 kg in a short period of time, your body will start to have a thing called stretch mark. So that's why a lot of pregnant women, they get stretch mark because the body cannot grow the skin so fast. Then they get a stretch mark. So when we get a stretch mark, we will not burst, obviously. Imagine that a pregnant woman burst their stomach, not possible, right? But for the plant, they will burst. They will crack. The moment when they crack the skin, they crack, right? Bacteria goes in. When bacteria go in, the plant will die because bacterial infection. To prevent them from bacterial infection, they have cork cambium. Remember, we learned the word cork. Cork is what? Is to have a protective layer. So this protective layer, the protective bark, is to protect the stem from insects and pathogen attack when the epidermis is cracked. So we have to write vascular cambium first. Only you can write cork cambium because they are in a sequence. Why do you need a protective layer when they are not even cracked? So you have to crack first. The increase in circumference, the crack are only the cork cambium comes into the picture. So that's why you have to write it in sequence, vascular cambium and then cork cambium. Okay, we have outer cork cell and inner cortex. The external cork is the protective bark. What is the difference between a cork and a bark? Okay, cork is the outermost cell. The one where we can feel is the cork. Bark is slightly inside one. Bark usually form into the woody tissue. So if you peel off the cork, maybe you can see the bark, but cork is the outer layer. How do we differentiate whether they are woody plant or non-woody plant? You go to any tree, okay, in your school. I believe your school has woody plant because most of the school, they start to plant a tree when they start the school. When you want to start the school, like build a school, right, they will plant a tree. So your school must have a woody tissue, must have a woody tree that is older than you. Usually for woody tissue, the outer layer has like a skin that is trying to fall off. Have you guys ever noticed, or have you guys ever, how come school needs tree? Because they need for you to breathe oxygen. If not, your school going to be very hot. Your school got no aircon, unless you private school. Oxygen, right? Okay. Absorb carbon dioxide, release oxygen. You can have more energy when you study in school. Have you all tried to remove the skin of from the bark before? There's an outer layer. That is called a cork, C-O-R-K. You can feel it. The more you peel, the faster the plant gonna die. Because got bacterial infection. The cork is a protective layer. And then you keep on peeling. The tree become bottom, got no skin anymore. No skin, bacteria goes in, the plant die. So your hand don't itchy, go and pluck people's skin lah. It's like, imagine you have a scab, you pluck off the scab, bleeding, right? Bacteria goes in, right? Same goes to the plant. So the cork is a protective layer. So you don't peel off the cork of the plant. Now that you know how you differentiate a woody and non-woody plant, woody plant will have the outer layer. Non-woody plant like banana, papaya, right? The stem is smooth. Have you all seen a papaya tree or banana tree? Got see before or not? I scared you all never see papaya, banana. Who knows, right? Kids this day don't go out from the house. They only go to school, right? Go back home. Or you never see papaya, banana in their life. You go and see your neighbor. Usually Malaysian like to plant papaya, banana for some reason. So the stem of papaya, banana is smooth. That is a non-woody plant. Woody plant, they have a layer that you can peel off. Okay? So this is how we carry out secondary growth. This question is very important. It can be stem, it can be root. The answers are the same. Usually they will ask about stem, but the answers will be the same for stem and root. Okay, done with this? Anybody has question to ask about secondary growth? Okay, so as you can see in this diagram, right, there's a sequence one. The first diagram is this one. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. So it gets more complicated. They started with the easiest thing. They get more complicated. Why xylem and phloem changes color? They don't change color in real life, but xylem will have 2 colors. They have a darker color and lighter color. Not the phloem, but it's the xylem. They have darker and lighter color in real life. Why? Why would the xylem will have darker and lighter color? Because they form a thing called annual ring. Okay. The next page here, we learn a thing called annual ring. What is annual ring? Annual ring means how many years in one ring? How many years in one ring? Correct, 1, because it's annual, right? People call annual dinner because it's every year. It's called annual, 1 year. Every ring is 1 year. How do they form into annual ring? Because of 2 seasons. We have spring and summer time. During springtime, the xylem vessel, it has to be larger and thinner cell wall. They are brighter in color. So the lighter color one is during springtime. During summertime, they are narrow xylem vessel and darker in color. Why? Because during springtime, you have more water and sunlight. Summer is hotter. So groove is not suitable when it's too hot. Spring and summer. How do you remember which one is lighter or darker? Remember, summer is very hot, right? Like human, you go under summer time, you go to a country that is very hot. You also get tan. You get tan lines, right? Same goes to the plants. Summer, they get darker. So easier for you to remember. Summer, you get darker. Spring, you get brighter. For the plant, not for you, for the plant, guys. So the darker one and the lighter one. So lighter, darker, together is at 1 year. Because it's one right, 1 year. Darker, lighter is 1 year. So when we are counting, you only count either the lines or the space. Means either you count the spring or summer because it's easier to count. You want to count the space also can, the line also can. If you want to count either one, you have to minus 1. Means, for example, if I want to count the space, which is during springtime, I will not count the most inner one. Okay, we don't count the most inner one, yeah? So we don't count this one. So we start with number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Why we never count on the outer layer? Because this is the bark. So the tree is 18 years old. So counting the space maybe is easier than counting the line because sometimes the line is very hard for you to count. So you count the space is easier. In Malaysia, we have no spring and summer. It's just hot and very hot and rains. Do you think Malaysia, we have annual rain in our plants? Do you think Malaysia plants has annual rain? Like in Malaysia outside, I know your plant. Do you think you have annual rains? Of course we have. Because in Malaysia, even though we don't have spring and summer, we have hot and raining season. So raining and dry season, it forms into annual rain. And Malaysia is one of the countries that export wood. Like wood, wood exportation is in Sabah, Sarawak. They have the most of the exportation. So that's why spring and summer is for Western country. Malaysia, we also have annual rain. So they ask you the formation of annual rain. Remember, it's during spring and summer. This is in textbook answer, okay? We follow the textbook answer, spring and summer. Why do the plant needs to carry out secondary growth? Okay, towards the plant, primary growth is to increase in length, as we have mentioned, right? They want to increase in height, they want to increase in length. Height because they want to get more sunlight. Root because they want to absorb more water. Same function, same thing, okay? Secondary growth, increase in diameter to get support. If you want to write more function for secondary growth, you write number 5, guys. Number 5, thick and strong bark. Why? Because they want to reduce water evaporation. They want to protect the plant from bacteria or even insects attack. They want to live longer. For secondary growth, they don't live for 2 years. They live for more than 2 years. Every year, they are able to produce fruit. Every fruit, they have seed. Every seed, they have a chances of reproduction. So that's why if you want to write the importance of secondary growth towards plant, guys, this is towards plants. You write number 1 or number 5. If the question asks, secondary growth importance towards economy. Economy is who? Human. Human means what? Money. Okay, they ask you why plant needs to carry out secondary growth towards human. Then you're going to write this. So you have to read the question. Towards the plant or towards human? It's two different things. Towards human, we have timber. Timber is strong and hardwood. What do we do with timber? Timber, we have meranti, we have chengao. These are the strong wood. You can make it into beam for buildings. Building beams is the tiang. The tiang is the building beam, is the tiang. So the tiang is made of wood, so they're very strong and stable, and they make it into high quality furniture. How do we know the furniture right now is high or low quality? I would say the furniture from company is not high quality furniture. The moment you use it and the moment you knock it, you know it's not high quality. I wouldn't say all, but I would say most of the furniture from the company itself is not high quality furniture. You knock on your house door. Usually for house door, it's a solid wood. It's very hard and it's very heavy. Those are high quality furniture. And most of the high quality furniture, you can see annual ring. Annual ring is this one, high quality furniture as annual ring because people like annual ring. It's like more attractive. Your door of your house, it should be solid wood. The table Okay, the table right now I'm using is not solid wood. Okay, the sound is brighter. It's not like dim sound, it's like brighter sound. The brighter sound is empty inside. It's just plywood, guys. You go to your school door, you knock the school door, usually they are just plywood. The one in your house is solid wood. So there's a difference between solid wood and like high quality furniture and low quality furniture. But both can be used, guys. Even the table right now, they are not high quality in this one. It's not high quality, but it can still be used. And it's lighter. You can carry by yourself without helping by other person. You also have anno ring actually. Right now, because people love anno ring, right? You know what they do with the low quality furniture? They print anno ring and they put it on the surface of the table. It's a printed anno ring. Okay, up to you lah, whether you like it or not lah. But there's an anno ring right now actually. Okay, next we have wood and bark. Wood and bark, we have Merawan and Meranti. It's useful for resin and oil. What do we use resin and oil for? Resin is to use it in paint and varnish. Varnish is a removal. To remove things, we use a varnish, okay? Oil, we can use it in medicine, soap, and perfume. Right now, we have a lot of essential oil. You all know what is essential oil? No, maybe your parents uses essential oil. Maybe some of perfume, they also have the woody smell. They come from the oil from the plants. If you have woody smell, it has to be from the real tree, right? Those are slightly more expensive because they are natural, not artificial. Some humans love the smell of a wood. It's from the wood and bark. Even resin can also be made into perfume. Latex is to make it into tire and glove. What is ornamental plant? Ornamental plant is a decoration plant. It's to decorate. In Malaysia, we have about 12 to 16 species of plant that is planted by the government. A Christmas tree is an ornamental plant, right? Malaysia, we don't have Christmas tree because it's too hot. If you notice that along the roadside of your neighborhood or maybe any other area, right, the trees in Malaysia has no fruits. I mean, the government planting the ornamental plant got no fruits one. When there is fruits, it causes a lot of problems. So the plant planted by the government is only leaves. Why there's only leaves? Because they only want the trees to absorb carbon dioxide and also to produce oxygen. They don't want them to form fruits. When you have fruits, means that there will be a lot of birds, there will be a lot of worms, a lot of problems. So it's just leaves because the purpose is to reduce greenhouse gases. Next, we have fruit trees. We have durian tree, mango tree, rambutan tree. They have very long lifespan. Don't have to replant because they can live for 10, 20 years. They can bear fruit every single year. Use it for local consumption or you can use it for export. We export a lot of durian to other countries because not every country can plant durian. So durian demand is higher. Like Malaysia and Thailand, we can plant durian. You can sell durian at a very high price to other countries where they enjoy eating durian. Rambutan also same, mango also same. So Thailand and Malaysia, we are the country that export. Singapore, too small. They cannot plant a lot of trees, but Singapore can also be a country that plants fruit trees. But most likely is Thailand and Malaysia lah. So this is important for exam as well. They will ask you about this question. Economic importance of plant. These are the important things. It can be 4 to 6 marks question for economic importance. Annual ring is also important. Maybe it's 2 to 4 marks. Secondary growth, maybe 2 marks like that lah. Okay, so you have to know about what is the importance towards the plant. Okay, anybody has question to ask in this page? Question asked? No? We're gonna try some question right now, guys. Okay, we're gonna apply the knowledge into question right now. Okay, I want you to flip to your question. Wait, let me search on the page first. Page. Page. What is this page? Page 23. Can you flip to page 23, question 10? Page 23, question 10. Page 23, question 10. Diagram below shows the secondary growth of a plant of the stem of a Dicot. Identify structure P, Q, R, S, T, U. Okay, we will look at P and Q first. Easiest to label is P and Q. What is P to you? What do you think P is? P is outside, right? What phloem is this? Missing one word in front. What is the word that we have to use? What phloem? Very good. Primary phloem. Primary phloem. What is Q? Q is the inside part. What is Q? Very good. Primary xylem. All right. Primary xylem. Okay. R. If you don't know, this is a cambium. Okay, this is not a vascular cambium, obviously. This will be a cord cambium. This is a cord cambium. Later, they will form into a cord, okay? And then we have STU, okay? I believe you know what is S and T also. Because S and T, they are formed from the cambium ring, right? We have inside, S is inside, T is outside. What is S? Inside one is what? Correct, secondary. This is a secondary xylem. Inside one is xylem, outside one is phloem, right? T is secondary phloem. The U labeling is a bit off. The U supposed to label at this part. This is the U part. This is cork, C-O-R-K. By the way, the U labeling is a bit off, so that is cork. He explained the role of R in woody plants. R is cork cambium. You know, woody plants, they need to have woody tissue. R is a cork cambium. Okay, these cork cambium, they will form into two parts. Okay, they will carry out secondary growth. I write it over here first. They carry out secondary growth. They form into two tissue. We have the outer cork cell and inner cortex. The outer cork cell is a protective layer. The inner cortex is a storage of food. So we have two marks for two answers, outer cork cell and inner cortex. In two sentences, we have to say, R forms new cork cell on outer side to protect plant from physical, or you can say mechanical injury, that better, for mechanical injury. Mechanical injury. Next, it also produce inner cortex that enable plant to increase in diameter because it's a secondary growth, so they will increase in diameter. Done? Let me know. Okay, what is the significance of primary and secondary growth? Yeah, right, faster. Okay, I know that it's end of the class already, but give me some time, okay, to finish a few questions before we end the class, okay? Primary growth is to increase in what? Increase in length. Very good. Increase in length for them to get more sunlight or more water. So they increase in length for absorption of sunlight. Or you can say lengthen root for absorption of water. Okay, secondary growth is to increase in what? Significance is importance. Necessity, significance, importance is the same meaning, yeah? Significance, necessities, importance. It's the same meaning. Or increase in diameter, correct? So this one, increase in diameter. Why? Because they want to provide mechanical strength and support. In exam, please write in sentence like that. Obviously, your answer is wrong. Okay, you're gonna write like that. You're gonna write in sentence in exam. Okay. Done? Let me know when you're done. We will move to the next question when you're done already. Wait for 5 of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, next question. Primary growth and secondary growth allow plants to increase in size. State two similarity and two differences between primary growth and secondary growth in plants. Okay, now what is the similarity between these two? All of primary growth and secondary growth, it occurs to woody plants. Woody plants means what? It means they will increase in length, they increase in diameter. So all woody plants carry out secondary growth. And in order for them to grow wider or to grow taller, what process do they have to carry out? To grow wider and to grow taller, they have to carry out what process? Mitosis, right? Okay, mitosis is to increase in number of cells. So the similarity, we can say both growth occurs in woody plants. Next, both growth involve in cell division by mitosis. By mitosis. Primary growth. Besides writing increase in length, we have to write other example. Do you think primary growth has annual ring? Yes or no? Does primary growth has annual ring? No annual ring, right? Okay, they don't form annual because imagine grass. Grass is a primary growth plant, so they don't carry out. They don't have an annual ring. So this one, absence of annual ring. And secondary growth, presence of annual ring. Okay, next, we can write thin or thick bark. Primary growth has which one? Thin or thick one? Correct, a thin bark. Very good. Thin bark. Secondary growth, they have thick bark. Correct. Thick bark. Thin or thick bark. Okay. Merawan and Chengal are two examples of plant that undergo secondary growth. Give one characteristic of plant that undergoes secondary growth. When a plant carry out secondary growth, they will increase in diameter. Means they will also have what? Thick and strong bark. Thicker, stronger woody stem. So when they have thick and strong bark, they are able to provide support, right? So you're going to say it has strong hardwood, thick and strong bark also can. Up to you, whichever that you want to write. Thick and strong bark, strong and hardwood, provide support and mechanical strength also correct. What are the commercial uses of this plant? Okay, we're going to write according to Merawan and Chengal. Merawan is used to produce, I write it on top here. Okay, Merawan is used to produce resin and oil. You have to write it in sentence. Produce resin and oil. And then Chengal are usually very hardwood. Chengal is used in production of furniture. Production of furniture or building beams. Or building beams. Okay, either one are furniture or building beams. In exam, please check in sentence. Done? Okay, 5 of you done. We're going to move to the next question. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. Okay, now next one. Okay, I know guys, I know you all want to end class. Give me some time, okay? Diagram 3.1 shows a cross-section of a Dicot. Explain the function of structure X and Y. Okay, I know you can do this question by yourself. So X, can we write the label first? What is X? X is a correct. X is a phloem. Very good. And then Y will be the xylem because it's a star-shaped xylem. Okay, now what is Z? Z is a cambium. This is a vascular cambium. They ask you to write the function of X and Y. Can you write this by yourself? Later after in class, you write by yourself. Xylem phloem, I know that you can write by yourself. Structure Z separates structure X and Y during secondary growth. Explain the process that takes place in structure Z, which enable the plant's root to increase in size during secondary growth. Okay, now your structure Z is a vascular cambium. Later on, they will form into a ring, right? Let me write the keyword over here. So they start with vascular cambium. This vascular cambium, they undergo a process called mitosis, and then they form into cambium ring. Okay, cambium ring has two parts, inner and outer parts. Okay, we have the cell that grows inwards. The cell that grows inwards, is it xylem or phloem? Inside one, is it xylem or phloem? All right, inside one is secondary xylem. The one that grow outwards is secondary phloem. Okay, to put it into a sentence, 4 marks. Your first mark comes by writing the labeling. Second mark is by writing the process. Third and fourth mark is the one in purple color. So 4 marks in total. First, we have to write structure Z is vascular cambium. Next, we're going to say vascular cambium divide by mitosis to form into cambium ring. Cell in cambium ring which divide inwards form secondary xylem. And then cell in cambium ring which divide outwards form secondary phloem. So you just put it into sentence. Then wait for 10 of you, okay? We're going to move to the next one, 3. Then let me know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, next one. Predict what will happen to the plant if is this the same as the process for stem, right? Yes, it's the same as process. Same as stem for the process, okay? What will happen to the plant if structure Z is not formed? When there is no vascular cambium, all of your answer is a negative answer. Means when you have no vascular cambium, you cannot form secondary xylem, secondary phloem. Means you cannot carry out secondary growth. The plant will have no support. Every answer that you write, it has to be a negative answer. But first, you can say the function of Z first, okay? No mechanical strength, correct? So you're going to say that first, structure Z consists of actively dividing cell. Means it's apical. It means they can carry out mitosis. Actively dividing cell. Then next, you can say that the plant root unable to carry out secondary growth. There will not be an increase in diameter. The plant unable to maintain or unable to provide support, unable to provide support. And strength. No mechanical strength also can. Divide or multiply. You write divide by mitosis. We don't write multiply by mitosis. We write divide by mitosis. The divide by mitosis is not divide. Divide by mitosis means that they carry out mitosis. In biology, the divide is not divide, okay? It's to multiply. Just words in biology are confusing, I understand. Because we never write multiply by mitosis, we write divide by mitosis. Okay, now done with what Anya for today. Okay, so the rest of the question answer, you can get it in the website as well. Any question you want to ask, you can ask me. No, then I will see you guys in class next week, or I will see you when I see you again. Okay, bye-bye the rest of you. Remember to finish the question, yeah? Okay, bye-bye the rest of you. If you have a question, you can stay first. Bye-bye.